Ich meine, man bräuchte ja trotzdem natürlich noch den Fingerabdruck von Kokoro. Deswegen nehmen wir an, dass das nicht geht, ne? Aber man könnte ja die Hand trotzdem abtrennen, wie ich schon sagte. Ich glaube, Kanade ist einfach einen Schritt voraus.
Hold on, Kanade. We can't know that for sure yet.
Excuse me?
I'll admit, it's true that if somebody had stolen Kokodo's e-handbook plus, they could have entered the room freely. That is, unless the auto-power-saving function was on.
Ja, Sora, es tut mir leid, aber Kanade ist dir da schon einen Schritt voraus.
Auto-power-saving function?
You mean the function that automatically turns off the e-handbook plus after it's left alone for a certain amount of time?
Even if somebody stole Kokodo's e-handbook plus, like Kanade suggests, if the e-handbook plus ever turned off, it'd be impossible to turn it back on again without Kokodo's input.
Wouldn't the culprit have just kept touching it to ensure it never turned off?
That isn't possible. While you may be able to use the e-handbook pluses of your fellow students for mundane means, the auto-power saving function shares the same recognition algorithm with turning your e-handbook plus on.
Das heißt, auch dafür braucht man einen Fingerabdruck.
Which, as you all know, only reacts to the owner's fingerprints.
Ja.
You're just spouting long words that I don't understand.
Shinji, komm. Also, ganz ehrlich, das war jetzt nicht so schwer.
Essentially, the e-handbook plus would power down unless Koko herself was touching it.
It's as everyone else says, Kanade. Without knowing that fact for certain, we cannot continue with your line of reasoning.
Also, ich hoffe, du bist auf das Comeback von Kanade jetzt vorbereitet. Das wird wehtun. Ja, ich sehe schon.
Everyone, this may sound sudden, but can I ask you all something?
What is it now?
Iroha has continually insisted that Kokoro was killed by the Yuki Onna's curse, right?
Jetzt kommt auch das zu sprechen. Kanade, du bist so schlau. Du hast dieselben Gedankengänge wie ich, nur doch deutlich schlauer, hey.
Yes? So? And what was it that made you think it was the curse? Because Yuki Onna is known to freeze the one she hates and take their hands and feet. And that's what happened to Kokoro, right? That's right. Iroha came to that conclusion specifically because Kokoro's corpse was missing her hands and feet.
Genau.
Of course, she was also dumb enough to believe it was actually a curse to kill her, but... Who says I'm dumb? And just why are you bringing this up? You're not actually going to tell me you believe it was the curse too, are you? Hardly. But it begs the question, doesn't it? If it wasn't the curse, then why did the killer choose such a cumbersome method of murdering?
Ja, wahrscheinlich einfach, weil sie unbedingt Kokoro umbringen wollte, oder? Und das war halt der einzige Weg, in ihr Zimmer zu kommen, war, indem er die Hand abtrennt und dann mit dem Handbook irgendwie reinkommt.
To try and scare everyone? Wrong again, Hibiki. Please think before you talk. This is obviously a copycat crime. To give off the impression it was the curse, when in actuality, the killer had a specific reason to do this.
A copycat crime? What's that?
It's exactly how it sounds. The case was specifically set up to imitate a past crime. Kanade suggesting Kokoro's death was carried out in a way that mimics the legend of Yuki Onna.
But why would the killer do that?
It's obvious. It was to cover up the trick of this locked room murder.
Ja, exakt, das sehe ich genauso.
As Sora and Mikado have proven, Kokoro's e-handbook plus would only have responded to her own fingerprints, no matter how hard they tried. The built-in algorithms would have prevented the culprit from turning the e-handbook plus back on. So, what if the killer had Kokoro's fingerprints?
Na gut. Was haben wir jetzt gefunden? Das hier? Alter, ich finde den Fall schon irgendwie ziemlich schwer und komplex verglichen mit dem ersten. Kann ich nicht anders sagen. Ja, es muss ja dann... Kann ich nochmal... Was war nochmal die Frage? Warum mir was nicht angezeigt? Ja, das hier vielleicht. Sorry, nicht das, sondern... Das? Nee. Was war nochmal die Frage? Diesen Beweis, den wir in der Nähe von Kokoros Leiche gefunden haben, das war überhaupt nicht so wie der Fluch von Yuki Onna. Aber was denn überhaupt? Ja, hä? Ich weiß es nicht. Ja, wollen wir jetzt nicht irgendwie sagen, das hier, oder? Ich meine, damit sind wir auch schon fertig. Das hier? Nee. Ich check es echt nicht. Ich meine, es kann ja nicht mehr viel sein. Ich habe jetzt mittlerweile so ziemlich alles ausprobiert, aber... Hä?
Got it. You think they cut them off? The killer cut off Kokoro's hands so they could easily have access to her fingerprints.
Ich verstehe jetzt nicht, warum das richtig ist.
Cutting off the fingers to get the fingerprints?
But explain it, though. We all just thought it resembled elements of the Yuki Onna's curse.
Moment, was war jetzt der Unterschied?
While in actuality, the culprit did it to get her fingerprints.
Hold on. You're seriously insinuating the killer carried around a severed hand just to turn on the e-handbook plus?
Ja, das sage ich ja jetzt auch schon seit einer Weile. Ich glaube schon, dass das stimmt.
How could such a feat be remotely possible? Not only would they have to hide it, but they'd also have to consider the blood and the smell.
Not to mention,
Oh.
if they just wanted her fingerprints, why did they also cut her feet off?
Vielleicht war dafür das Trockeneis da. Um das die ganze Zeit zu kühlen oder so.
Who said they carried all her hands and feet? All they needed was her fingerprint. A fingertip would have sufficed. Then why did they cut them all off?
Because if she was only missing one finger, it would have been much easier to infer that they were after a fingerprint.
Ja, genau.
Besides, we only know the state of Coco's body post-discovery. It's possible the killer only carried a fingertip, then cut the rest off not long before we found her body to throw us off. That's what you wanted to say, right, Kana?
Took you all long enough? Yes, that's exactly what I'm suggesting.
It's a theory, nothing more.
Ja, ich weiß nicht, Emma.
There's no evidence suggesting such, nor would someone do such a laborious task just for one fingertip.
No, there is evidence. At the time of the body discovery, Kokoro's body had just begun to melt and bleed, but there was also a dry blood stain on the bed. At the time, it didn't make sense.
This is all moving so fast. But what did the blood mean then?
Jawohl, dass schon zuvor die Hand abgetrennt wurde, oder?
It means she'd bled prior to us showing up. The dry bloodstain was left behind after the killer took her fingertip.
Ja, eben.
Like Setsuka said, the imitation of the curse was nothing more than a red herring.
Ich habe auch gerade bemerkt, Shobai hat, glaube ich, noch kein einziges Wort bisher in diesem Fall gesagt, oder?
This second island had a great motif of Yuki Onna's tale. It makes sense the killer would use it to distract us all.
Aber warum ist diese Statue überhaupt kaputt gewesen?
Honestly, I tip my hat to you, dear killer.
So how about it? Are we now willing to agree it was possible to enter the room?
Ja, ich stimme dir zu.
Well, it certainly does explain how Emma could have entered Kokoro's room while disguised as her.
Oh, but wait, there's more. On the night Kokoro collapsed, the last one to come out of her room was... Emma Magorobi.
Sie ist schon sehr verdächtig.
Okay, and?
If she was the last to leave, she could have stolen the e-handbook plus without being noticed by anyone else.
Emma, you didn't, did you?
Na, gibst du es zu, oder?
It's just as Kanade said. By determining the killer first and then retracing our steps with the information that gave us, we've been able to solve what we couldn't before.
Okay, so if we combine what we just learned with what we knew earlier, the killer swept her e-handbook plus while we were placing her in her room. Then, after everyone went to bed, they rushed back to Kokoro's room before the e-handbook plus switched off. It's possible that the real and fake Kokoro were swapped then too.
Ja, es muss ja dann gewesen sein, oder?
And then, to make sure that they had free reign to her e-handbook plus, they cut her finger off and locked her in the refrigerator.
Oh, and that ties into the refrigerator trick we discussed.
How splendid. By working together, we've solved all the questions from earlier. Access to the locked room, the time needed to freeze the body, and the alibi issue.
Also es ist auf jeden Fall schon ein ziemlich cleverer Fall, oder? Also deutlich besser als der erste.
One moment. Are we forgetting something? The school rules specifically state that losing your e-handbook plus is prohibited.
Ja schon, aber stehlen ist ja nicht dasselbe.
If what you're suggesting is true, surely Kokoro would have been punished for losing hers, would she not?
Not really. Stealing it and losing it are two very different things.
Ja, eben.
And besides, school rules tend to make an exception for murder.
Seriously? That's a thing?
Oh, she's right. Monocrow said so when we tried opening Kokoro's door, right before we discovered the body.
Das stimmt, er hat gesagt, dass es ja eine Ausnahme machen würde, richtig? Die Regeln sind streng, aber wenn es zu einer solchen Situation kommt, einem Mord, dann, naja.
On the topic of school rules, there was another one the killer violated for this case.
Eine weitere Regel? Während der Nacht rauszugehen vielleicht, oder?
You mean the vandalism?
Wow, Yuki. There must be a brain in there after all.
Vandalism? Mind explaining for us, Yuki?
Oder wegen der Statue dann?
Don't you remember, Big Bro? The day after the performance, you said you'd noticed that the museum's Yuki Onna statue had been broken.
Ja,
While out on a morning jog.
aber warum eigentlich? Ich verstehe nicht, warum die Statue kaputt gemacht wurde.
Oh yeah, we talked about vandalism then too.
But we all thought it was strange that Monocrow hadn't punished anyone for it. When in actuality...
Yup, it was part of the trick.
Es war Teil des Tricks und deswegen wurde niemand bestraft.
In order to help create the illusion of Yuki Onna's curse, the culprit destroyed the statue to make it seem as if it had awoken.
Ah, okay. Damit es so scheint, als ob die Statue erwacht wäre, ist sie kaputt gemacht worden.
Well, that may be one reason, certainly. Though I think the culprit had a different idea in mind. As you all know now, the crux of this case is the killer's disguise. Makeup can be used to mask the skin color. Stealing their clothes helps the appearance. But what about the hair?
Ja schon, aber... Gab es so eine... War diese Perücke anfänglich auf der Statue drauf? Oder... Ich meine, das muss ja natürlich jetzt hier der letzte Hinweis sein, den wir bekommen haben, ne? War der auf der Statue drauf? Ich dachte, der wäre einfach in diesem Umkleidezimmer gewesen irgendwie.
Got it. The dressing room. She took a wig from the dressing room inside the museum.
Ja, eben, aber das hat ja dann nichts damit zu tun, dass die Statue kaputt war, oder?
Right again. Well, yeah, there was loads of wigs in the dressing room. But none of them look like Kokoro's hair, right?
Iroha, do you remember the costume party we held on the first night we arrived at the second island?
Party? Oh yeah, I remember.
Die Kostümparty, was ist damit?
And do you remember who helped style our hair at that time?
Huh? Oh! It was Emma.
Das war Emma.
But wait, what does the wig have to do with the broken Yuki Onna statue?
Ja, da bin ich vollkommen bei dir, Yoroko. Ich habe keine Ahnung. Die Verbindung zwischen der Perücke und der kaputtgemachten Statue. Vielleicht ist es deswegen. Weswegen? Ich weiß es nicht. Mal nachdenken. Was haben wir denn hier überhaupt zur Auswahl, hey? Boah. Was ist eigentlich hier mit Schober? Der soll auch mal was sagen. Der hat doch sogar von Anfang an gesagt, er wüsste, wer es wäre. Hä? Was haben wir jetzt mit zum Beispiel?
Got it.
Das hier.
It's probably because of the dressing room item list.
What's that?
Oh yeah, I saw that too. It's a list that details the amount of stock for each item in the dressing room. How many wigs there are, how many variations of clothing there are, things like that.
If the killer had taken a wig to disguise themselves as Kokono, then the numbering on the list wouldn't match the actual stock.
Ja, aber wir haben ja von Teruya erfahren, dass das eigentlich nicht der Fall war.
So to cover that, they destroyed the statue and took the hair part to fill up the inventory.
Whoa. They went to all that effort for just one wig? Who'd notice something as small as that?
Given how crucial the disguise was to the plan, I imagine they must have been hyper-vigilant and paranoid about keeping it hidden at all costs. And as a matter of fact, their meticulousness was not in vain. A certain someone here took the time to memorize the whole list and cross-reference it with its stock every single day.
Ja, und das war Teruya. Da hat sein Talent ja doch mal geholfen hier.
Who could be that perverted?
Iroha.
No, that was never my intent. I'm a merchant, remember?
Oh, right. I'm sorry.
Ich muss mal sagen, ne? Dafür, dass er schon ein ganzes Killing-Game überlebt hat, macht er hier nicht wirklich viel.
A long time ago, I made a mistake in taking inventory, which resulted in something irreversible. I can't remember the details, but I swore to be thorough from then on. But even despite that, memorizing inventories is nothing new for me. As a merchant, I can't stand not knowing exact quantities of the stock.
Okay, vollkommen normal, Mann, vollkommen normal.
Even with Teruya making daily rounds, not even he noticed a wig disappearing.
At a glance, it looks like the killer was being overly paranoid, when in reality, doing exactly that was what stopped Teruya from noticing discrepancy. The killer really was one step ahead of everyone.
The other tell was the small amount of rubble from the statue in one of the wigs.
Also ich muss schon sagen, es ist ein ziemlich schlauer Mord irgendwie.
That tiny detail is what led us down this path.
Also für ein Fangame, Daumen hoch.
Still, we would never have come up with the disguise idea without Kanade's help.
No, I was just able to look outside the box. That's all.
Well, well, well. It seems our killer has finally been unveiled.
Wir haben immer noch einige Dinge, die wir noch gar nicht besprochen haben. Zum Beispiel, was Shinji gesehen hat, dass eine Person, oder dass da so ein Stück Stoff war am Balkon.
Emma, you really?
Ja. Wie sieht's aus, Emma, huh?
Emma, if you really are the killer, then please, make this easy for us and confess now. I don't want to keep having to doubt you like this.
Gib es einfach zu, wir alle wussten das schon seit 20 Parts.
Are you truly that desperate to paint me as the killer?
Aber sie gibt es immer noch nicht zu.
You've insulted my friendship with Kokoro, used my ultimate talent against me, and created this elaborate theory. And now you want me to confess to killing the closest friend I ever had. Have you not caused me enough pain already?
Emmy, don't cry.
Hibiki, du brauchst nicht auf ihrer Seite zu sein, Mann.
I'd rather not believe any of this either, but the more I hear and the longer this goes on, even I have to wonder about the legitimacy of those tears.
Well, they don't call her the ultimate actress for nothing. Don't know about the intent, but those tears seem genuine to me.
This is all too much. I feel so useless.
Ja, du hast ja noch nichts gemacht, Alter.
We vote an innocent person as the blackened, then everyone but the blackened is killed, right?
Ich meine, wenn du es nicht warst, dann sag halt irgendwas, was Sinn macht, weißt du?
Fine. Have it your way. Go ahead and sentence us all to death.
What do you mean?
I've already told you. I'm not the killer. Kanade and Sora may have crafted an elaborate theory. But like I said, I didn't do it. So if you vote me, we'll all die. Whoever did this is setting me up. The real killer. They want you to think I did it. Please, you have to believe me.
You're still acting innocent? Ugh, this is just pathetic at this point. All the evidence is pointing towards you.
Also ich wüsste auch nicht, wer es sonst gewesen sein könnte.
Sora, you remember what you said, don't you? If Kokoro hadn't died, perhaps my sincerity would have attracted her into our party.
Ja, aber nicht, wenn das alles so eine Lüge war, du.
Yes, I wanted to be her friend. She may have not reciprocated it, but I genuinely cared for her from the bottom of my heart.
Ja, ich weiß nicht.
If I die here, I won't be able to face Kokoro in the afterlife, knowing I let her killer get away.
Wait! Could it be? Yes. I think I may have found the key that shall turn this case around. Please, give me one more chance. There is still time. Time to prove to you that I, Emma Magorobi, am not the killer.
Sie möchte noch eine weitere Chance haben.
I beg of you, please believe me. Allow me to point out the contradiction in your reasoning. It's just the one, mind you. One minor flaw in such lengthy reasoning, but this will prove my innocence. And with it, change your mind.
Also sie gibt noch nicht auf, aber ganz ehrlich, ich vertraue ihr absolut null. Ich vertraue ihr wirklich absolut null. Also wirklich so gar nicht, gar nicht. Also so gar nicht, gar nicht, gar nicht. Okay. Ja gut.
So you're saying that the culprit must have gotten Kokoro's e-handbook plus as a performance, right?
Ja.
With the e-handbook plus, the culprit must have finished their preparations and gotten ready for the impersonation. According to you, it was during that night that the culprit went to the museum. There was lots to do, such as setting up the disguise and destroying the statue before morning time. But that night, I was there with all of you to hear the next announcement. Since the main gates had already been closed,
ja, okay, ich weiß schon. Ja, okay. Ich weiß schon, was... Ja, okay. Ja, chill. Hab schon genug gehört. Halt die Klappe jetzt. Mördern höre ich hier nicht zu, okay? So, also, wir brauchen hier die Aussage von... Ah, hier, der Balkon. Ja, chill. So. Huch. Wann kommt jetzt die Aussage überhaupt? Ich mag dieses Minispiel nicht so wirklich, um ehrlich zu sein. So. Das hier weg. So. Aber den Balkon hätte man auf jeden Fall nutzen können als Fluchtweg. Raus und wieder rein. Ich glaube, jetzt kommt das irgendwie. So. Ja, sie war es, oder? Sie war es auf jeden Fall.